Guys, the lightweight division is in an absolute mess, shambles. We got people ducking, people not wanting to fight, and it's coming. Bruv, you know what's crazy? Ilia Topuria was at featherweight, and he was causing this sort of drama at featherweight when he got the title, and now he's causing drama again in the lightweight division. We all know Arman Tsarukyan is the number one contender, and if we're being completely honest, out of everybody that is pushing for a title shot right now, he is definitely the most deserving of a title shot. But unfortunately, because he pulled out of his title bout with Islam Makhachev last minute, the UFC are doing him you see it? I was about to say the UFC are doing him dirty, but my brain, my subconscious mind knows what I really wanted to say. Uncle Dana is taking the fucking piss with my guy Arman Tsarukyan. He's the true number one contender. He proved he can make weight when he weighed in as the backup fighter for Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. It's sad, man. I get it. I know he pulled out last minute against Islam, but still, he is the most deserving. So, it's a shame that, he's not getting the title shot. But we have people like Paddy Piblet, yeah? Let's actually look at the lightweight division, yeah? Let's get the rankings up, yeah? Here we have the lightweight rankings. And why has it done that? And as you guys know, Ilia Topuria is the champion. Islam Makhachev is the number one contender, but he's not even in the weight class anymore. He's gone up to welterweight. So really and truly, Arman is the next in line for the title shot, because we're not. If Ilia doesn't want to wait until next year, then they should make Arman versus Ilia. And it's funny, because I'm going to bring up this next clip here. Obviously, Ilia keeps, in my opinion, the thing is, when John Jones was saying all of this to Tom Aspinall and behaving in the same sort of way, everyone was saying John Jones is ducking. Now Ilia is doing essentially the exact same thing, but nobody is saying that Ilia is ducking Arman Tsarukyan. And you know what? Dan Hooker made a good point, but we're going to get onto that later, because I'm going to show what Dan Hooker said as well. But Arman Tsarukyan is actually very open to fighting Ilia Topuria. And you guys know Arman Tsarukyan has money. So he even offered Ilia Topuria a 500,000 bet. He said, I can put $500,000 if he beat me. If I beat him, he's going to give me $500,000. If he wants to make that, I'm down. We can shake hands, fight. If I lose, I'll give him 500K. If I beat him, he'll give me 500K. I mean, it's only right. He does deserve the title shot. And this is what annoys me about fans, yeah? And just the whole MMA community as a whole. When it was John Jones doing the exact same thing to Tom Aspinall, people were saying, oh, Tom Aspinall was the real champion. John Jones is ducking Tom. John Jones is ducking Tom. And the maddest thing is, Ilia hasn't even done half of what John Jones has done in his career, and people were still saying he was ducking. So if we're gonna have that energy for a certain fighter, we need to have it for all fighters that are ducking. Because essentially, listen, I don't actually think Ilia Topuria is scared of Arman Tsarukyan, but I do think out of everybody in that division, he is the hardest matchup for Ilia. Islam and Arman are the hardest matchups for Ilia. No one else even comes close. Maybe Paddy, but I think Paddy just because of size. I don't necessarily think because of skill set. But something Dan Hooker said, which is actually very true, is that a lot of people will avoid Arman Tsarukyan because he's good at winning. He's one of the best guys in the division. Fair enough, he might not always get KOs or TKOs or submissions, but he knows how to win a fight. He knows how to get the job done. And for that reason, I do think he is going to become the boogeyman of that division. I don't think many people are going to want to fight him because they'll probably see it as yeah, I have a chance of knocking him out, but he's so good that he'll probably just take me to a decision, and he'll probably get the win, which is true. He is good at, even look at the Charles Oliveira fight. He's good at winning fights on points. So, and a lot of people won't want to fight someone like, I'm not gonna lie, guys. If we're being completely honest, Charles Oliveira was fed to Ilia Topuria by the UFC because they knew the chance of Topuria beating Charles is very, very high for the simple fact he gets hurt and hit in every fight. And what does Ilia do? He hurts and hits people. So, Charles was fed to Ilia Topuria. I'm sorry. Arman is definitely the next in line and he deserves the title shot. It seems as if Ilia's ducking. Obviously, he wants to fight Paddy later down. I think Paddy or Gaethje is who Ilia wants to fight. But Gaethje, I'm going to be honest, Gaethje gets slept. Listen, I like Justin Gaethje. He's a legend of the sport. But Ilia Topuria will sleep him. So if that's what the UFC... And you know what? If that's what Justin Gaethje wants for himself, then be my guest. Be my guest. Paddy Pimblett, I'm sorry, he does not deserve a title shot. I know there's a story behind him and Ilia, and that will help to sell the fight. But if we're actually talking about who deserves the title shot, it's Arman. Paddy doesn't deserve it. His last three fights he's had, his last three opponents, they were losing streakers. I think something stupid. So I'm not being funny. How does that warrant Paddy a title shot? Like, he beat Michael Chandler. Okay, everyone beats Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's only beat one person in the lightweight division. Well, two people in the lightweight division. Tony Ferguson and Dan Hooker. And I'm not being funny, yeah. Dan Hooker, I'm surprised he beat Dan Hooker because Dan Hooker is a game opponent. But if we're going based off his resume in the UFC, Chandler was never really that guy, bro. Somehow he managed to stay in the rankings even though he lost most of his fights. And now we're saying Paddy has one more fight and then he's getting a title shot. It's fucking crazy to me, guys. I'm not gonna lie. But I guess that's the state that the UFC is in. But you know what I will say, yeah? What I will say is, shouts out to Dan Hooker, because Dan Hooker he's really not trying to avoid anyone. He doesn't care. And, shouts out to Dan Hooker because this is what he had to say.
Fighter, and now all those big name guys don't really, they've got a good excuse to not fight him, like Ilya said, he's not going to fight him. He's stuck fighting me, brother. He's got to fight me to get back in the mix and to get a title shot. And that's always the fight I want, and not because he's a prick and I hate him, but because I genuinely think he's the hardest fight, and all those name guys have like an excuse to not fight him because I think he is the best at winning fights. Like, he's not necessarily the most dangerous fighter. Like, Oliver is very dangerous, Gage is very dangerous. I think he's the best at winning fights, and so a lot of these guys have a justifiable reason to avoid fighting him. And so that's been my approach since I first stepped foot in the UFC, is that I want to fight the best guys, and I think Arman's the best guy. So that's the fight that I want, and that's the fight that I think they're gonna make happen. He is a very good.
Shouts out to Dan Hooker because he wants the toughest fights. He wants the biggest fights. So shouts out to him. And you know what he said, I completely agree. Arman is the toughest matchup for everybody in that division. He's not necessarily the most dangerous, but he is the best at winning fights, like I said earlier on. So, listen, if they want to make Dan Hooker and Arman Tsarukyan, I'm all for it. It will be a good fight. I know Dan Hooker's going to bring violence, but I see Tsarukyan shutting that violence down, probably pinning him on the ground and, finishing him with some mean ground and pound. So, and to be honest, I see Arman and not necessarily Islam, because Islam and Arman's game is completely different. But I feel like Arman is one of the best at getting people to the ground and keeping them there and punishing them. So it'll be a good fight. But listen, if they want to make... The thing is, I don't know what they're going to do then. Because if you make Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker, then What are we getting? Justin versus Paddy? Justin doesn't want that, so I'm guessing he's not going to agree to that. So it leaves either Justin versus Ilya or Ilya versus Paddy. And it's a shame, man, because none of them really deserve it. If anything, give it to Justin because he's a legend. He doesn't really deserve it, but I hear it. Fair enough. Give him the title shot. Let him go. Brother, he's going to sleep. Who cares? Tonight we smash. That's what's going to happen to Justin Gaethje. He's going to go sleep, and we can forget about him, and the lightweight division can continue. But let me know in the comments what you think of the current state of the lightweight division. I think it's an absolute shambles, and it's a shame because we actually have some decent talent in the lightweight division. And, you know, to be honest, we still got a few of the older guys in that division. So, you know, yeah, man, we got obviously Paddy Piblet, Ilya, and Arman. They're the youngest in that division. And yeah, it's looking like they're going to be, you know, taking over that division. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about the current state of the lightweight division and what matchups you think should be made. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys again tomorrow.